everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are here today to talk about the latest episode of When Hope Calls. It's so exciting. I'm back here to talk about it. And Cammie's here.
Hey, everybody.
Yes. So how have you been?
Fine. Missed you last week.
Yeah. So it was so fun. I got to see the DreamWorks film Abominable, and it was super cute. Y'all should take your family. It was a really sweet little animated film, so it's fun. And you can I put a link down in the description. You can check out my my review on my other channel of it because it was really surprising. So thank you guys for holding down the fort while I was gone.
It was fun. Amy and I got into we got into mischief with each other. It was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed listening to it. Oh, that was really good. So we had we're over halfway into the season with this
oh my gosh
episode, and it's been a little bit challenging for us at the podcast to cover 2 television shows. That has really been pushing our output level, and I'm afraid that Chesapeake Shores got more hurt than this one, but we're doing our best here. And how are you feeling about the season as a whole of the show? They had the first 2 episodes on Hallmark Channel, and evidently it did not do well.
Really? Because I saw that it got a couple more subscriptions to Hallmark movies now.
I mean, I'm sure it did, but the ratings weren't great.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. I think the highest was 1.44, which the typical Hallmark movie usually is in the $2 million, 2 point over range. So it wasn't great ratings, but hopefully a few more people, like you said, saw it and decided to subscribe. But how are you feeling on this season so far?
I think the season as a whole is going great. I know that you remember from listening to our podcast from last week, but I was just in love with last week's episode. I thought that it was fantastic, and this week was not as adventure filled as I thought it was going to be. I guess it still had a lot of incredible adventure. I guess I just thought that there was going to be even more. But it still did not disappoint me at all. It was a very good storytelling episode, and I think that I would call it a relationship episode.
I think that's
a lot. True. It did a lot of connections and talking to getting a lot of things straight between people and getting their relationships in order.
Yeah, I think that is true. I agree. I think that there were I think that is true. It's one of those episodes where we got to learn a lot about the characters, and even like the kind of the fun B plot of the looking for gold was still sort of, I felt like I got to know the characters better. It wasn't just because sometimes the B plot, it really is just a throwaway. Like it's not even involving characters that we know, not particularly on this show, just in general on television shows.
Right.
And so I don't know. I thought it was a real solid episode. I enjoyed it. And I feel like the pacing of the show is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I'll be honest, on When It Calls the Heart, the pacing can be a little slow for me. Yeah, it's true. I don't tell a lie. The pacing can be a little slow for me, and I feel like the pacing is a little bit more my style in this show. That for me. So.
Yeah, I've been very pleased with the pacing. There hasn't been a slow episode.
Yeah.
There have been episodes that I've liked more than others. And I've had a couple of little disappointments here and there, but not enough to make a huge fuss about saying, "Oh, I don't like the show anymore." No, it's it's really grabbed me and kept me, and it's kept me going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the episode starts out with Lillian trying to give Sam a list of her projects to work on, and so yeah, she's. Did you feel like she's pretty interested in Sam, or yeah?
Totally. She's nursing a little crush, and so is he. He totally likes Lillian.
Yeah, yeah, but he's not a man for Liz. He's not good with Liz.
I'm not so good with lists. And then she, you could see the disappointed look on her face, and then he says, but hold on to it.
Yeah.
So wait. No. Don't throw it away. I'll do it. I just have to go away for a few days. So.
Yeah. And so he's going under somewhat mysterious circumstances. So that kind of sets the theme of the sort of sets the theme of the episode.
Right.
Yeah. And so then we see Tess, and she is chopping wood, and she ends up hurting her wrist. And did she cut her wrist, or was it just what was happening there?
I think she sprained it. I think it was a really bad sprain. And can I just say, so there's a joke going all over Twitter, not right at this moment, but there's a joke but there's a joke that Aaron Krakow doesn't do a movie unless it involves a wood chopping scene.
Oh yeah.
And so I tweeted in the tweet fest, hey Aaron Krakow, Wendy Crewson could be in your next movie. She chops wood.
That is funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, she better be darn careful, because there's some things that you can do when you're a little sleepy, but not wood.
My.
Hello.
Oh, that was scary. My husband was watching with me a little bit, and he said, she is doing a terrible job. I said, she's supposed to be doing a terrible job. But
yeah.
I wouldn't have even been able to get the wood to break. So, good on her.
Yeah. Well, it is true that there's nothing spells manly man more in Hallmark than wood chopping. So
I plead the fifth.
She's tough. So she's obviously like a tough cookie. Like that's last year at Christmas, it was really funny. There was just all of these manly.
Oh, so many.
It was hilarious.
Many. I plead the fifth on their effect on me.
Sure. Yeah. So we got especially Niall Mater and
okay
and Paul Campbell last year.
You can stop there. You can stop there.
In fact, if you listen to our last interview with Paul Campbell, he talked about how I never even thought about the fact that they have like all of these guards, and they have all of these, like it's like super, obviously they want to protect their actors, but I don't know, it's just the way he describes the whole how they have to film those scenes. It was actually really interesting, so check that out.
Don't forget Ryan Pavey.
Yeah. It was totally a thing.
Daniel Lissing, he had plenty of his. Not at Christmas time, but just in When Calls the Heart, he had how many? He had 2 wood chopping scenes.
Because I'm thinking, like, in the Kringle factory, what was
that? No. Yeah, they need wood to keep that stove going.
Yeah. So she's not sleeping, and that's certainly a plot element that I can relate to, because I have trouble sleeping. So. But she's really stressed out about finding a new foreman for the farm, and she is just very hopeful that Chuck will change his mind and want to run the farm, and so she's struggling with that.
I think that's what is causing her the most stress, is she wants Chuck to take over, and she's not going to give up until he does want to take over. and that's causing her to not hold interviews or find something wrong with everyone she interviews.
Yeah, that's right. And so then we get to see our Mountie Nathan from Hope Valley.
Whoa, and he just jumped out of nowhere. I was like, oh,
yeah,
whoa,
I know.
there's Nate.
Yeah. And he's looking for a train robber. So he's putting up signs and everything like that. And so was it fun for you to get to see Kevin McGarry on When Hope Calls?
Yes, I really did like it because I was a Kevin McGarry fan before When Calls the Heart. I had watched him in Heartland, but even before then, the first thing I saw him in was a Signed, Sealed, Delivered episode, and I just went, "Oh my gosh, that guy is so cute!"
Yeah, he's very handsome. There's no doubt about it. And the like almost blue eyes that.
Oh, I know. And so yeah, I've been a fan of his for quite a while. And so I loved that when I heard that he was coming on as Mountie Nathan Grant, I said, okay, yeah, that's a good choice. If we can't have Daniel Lissing, we're gonna have Kevin McGarry. But like I said, he just jumped out of nowhere. Whoa! I mean, no entry, just I am pounding a nail into I'm pounding a nail into a flyer. But I thought it was so interesting that they set up this relationship between the two of them. I mean, it seems very apparent that they know each other. They're familiar with each other. This is skipping ahead quite a bit, but Nathan asks Gabe about his shoulder. I'm like, okay, whoa, he knows about that. He knows he got shot. So I'm wondering if Kevin McGarry is going to be coming back at least for one more episode this season, because it sounds like they have a relationship that they knew each other before.
Yeah, but I felt like it kind of felt complete. There was nothing kind of hanging. So I personally would be surprised if he does come back, but it could happen. There is definitely, and and definitely next season for sure. I could see him coming back if there is a next season.
Right. Well, I'm going on a bit of an assumption because I saw a picture on social media of Kevin McGarry and RJ Hatanaka with Megan Follows.
Oh,
and
okay.
They were both in their costumes and they were horsing around pretending to arrest her. And and I know that she directed one of these episodes that of When Hope Calls that's coming up, and it hasn't happened yet. I've been watching. Okay. I've been watching directed by because I am a huge Megan Follows fan. When she did her performance in Anne of Green Gables is unsurpassed.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, it was the two of them in costume. And so that's kind of what I'm basing my assumption on is he coming back, because she didn't direct this episode. And I'm just wondering if
I think she even did
come back.
2 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. I just actually got to hear her speak at Comic-Con at our FanX. And yeah, I absolutely, the original Anne of Green Gables from 1985 is, I think, one of the most perfect pieces of media ever made. I absolutely adore it. The sequels aren't as good, but that first one I absolutely adore. So I'm with you there. And I thought that she said that she'd done a couple episodes, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But that's interesting to hear, and that'll be fun. I look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm being a Hawkeye. With this.
Very good. Very good. So yes, so Nathan is there looking for this train robber, and then they they start to, I think it's Lillian who's a little bit suspicious of, is Sam this train robber? He looks kind of a little bit like the picture that they have, the drawing they have on the wanted signs. And so they go and look, and they find in sort of his spot where he had some of his stuff. They find an empty box of dynamite, which makes them really suspicious of.
Oh. that
Yeah.
that's scary when you find an empty box of dynamite. I loved how Nate was trying to kind of blow it off to make Lillian feel better. Like, is that dynamite? I don't know. It's empty now. He's trying to set her mind at rest. But I mean, that's freaky when you find an empty box of dynamite, what, 3 yards away from where children are sleeping. It's
Yeah. It's tricky because you want to, you don't want to condemn people. You want the legal system to, finish its course, but then also when you have little ones that are under your care, like it's obviously pretty scary. I mean, I remember when the Elizabeth Smart thing was happening,
oh
and
my
um
word.
and there was another, I can't remember his name, but there was another man who was a suspect and was investigated, and he ended up obviously not being him. But everybody, immediately kind of pounced on this, because it's such a terrible situation. It's such a scary situation. Everybody kind of pounced on him,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course he ended up getting vindicated. And I think that's something that's easy to do, and it's obviously something that's not a good thing that we do, but I think it is easy to do.
Well, and the problem was that so many of the descriptions fit him so well. I mean,
Yeah,
the picture kind of looked like him. He had the bandage on his hand.
right.
He's been staying in Brookfield for 3 days, and Nate lost him 3 days ago. I mean,
Yeah,
everything was adding up. So,
right. Yeah. And so, I mean, I didn't think the picture really looked that much like him, but yeah, I mean, when you're in that spot where you're panicking a little bit, getting a little scared, then it's you've got this and this and this and this, and you start to kind of put it all together. It kind of actually reminds me, this is kind of a funny story. My roommate works for, she works in like international charities and stuff, and so she travels quite a bit abroad in her job. And uh she hadn't told me, and she doesn't need to tell me, that she was going to be out of the country, and she hadn't paid her rent, and so I was like, this is unusual, this is weird, and so I tried messaging her out, and I know nothing back, and which is unusual for her, and there were all these things, and then I went down, and her room, or her apartment space, was all a mess, and which was unusual for her, and all of a sudden, like, I started, for some reason I got that, it's like you get that little kernel in your head,
oh yeah.
and like, oh my gosh, I got sort of more and more, I had trouble like reaching her or contacting her. I was like, I got pretty worried. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happened to my roommate? What's happened to my friend? And of course she was just out of the country. She's like, no, I haven't been murdered, I promise. I'm like, oh good. I'm like, I'm watching too many of these mystery shows on the Hallmark Channel. It's not good. I said, I'm sorry. But anyway, I guess
I do think that if you're going out of the country, telling your roommate would be a good idea,
she does now. She does now. But anyway, it was a funny. I was like, why did I let myself get so worked up over? But you start sort of formulating all the clues in your head,
Yeah.
and then it makes you worried. But anyway, it was kind of what they've done with Sam, and so then we get to see, kind of like I said, the B story on here is with Maggie, and she finds this little bit of gold dust underneath the bed in the infirmary, and she starts tearing up the floorboards trying to find gold. And
Where do you keep your Jimmy bars?
yeah, And so Joe, he gives her his crowbar, and so he starts being curious of what the heck she's doing with this crowbar, and so he ends up joining in, and then Pearl ends up coming over, seeing it, and so she joins in, and so that was fun. I enjoyed that fun little.
I did
thing.
too. Maggie has this cute quirkiness without being immature. And so I really loved getting to know Maggie's character a little bit more, and just to see inside her, because so far we know that she travels a lot and she learned this from here and this from here, but we haven't really gotten to know her really well, and we really got to see inside her. We got to see inside her head, we got to see inside her heart, and just the way that she covers up things. Well, I work in a medical office and I need it for a thing, so yes, for a medical thing, it's just it's really, and it was just so cute, and to hear how she wanted to visit Nara and Siam, and I really thought that it was a great way. Oh, my favorite thing was when she caught up to Ronnie to ask about Tess with food in her hand and her mouth full.
Right.
I thought that was absolutely precious. She's just talking to Ronnie with a full mouth and rah, 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 rah. And then she sees Joe trying to go into the infirmary and hands Ronnie her food.
Oh yeah, muffin. A muffin.
Yeah, hands him her muffin, and then does something ail you? No, I'm fine. I just want to know what's going on with my crowbar. And then she pushes him inside. It
was.
It's so funny. So funny.
Yeah, they did a good job, and it's kind of nice because I feel like the first two seasons of When Calls the Heart were very Elizabeth and Jack heavy, as far as and then once Rosemary came, then you kind of got Rosemary and Lee, but this is kind of nice because I feel like we are getting 3 sort of relationships building right out of the gate, which I like. It's fun because obviously you've got Gabe and Lillian, you have Chuck and Grace, and then you've got this little bit kind of also with Maggie and Joe, and I think that's fun. I like that right out of the gate.
Do you think they're trying to turn that romantic? Because I think it could go either way, frankly. I
definitely think
Really?
I do, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely see that for sure.
Well, I guess we'll. I hate to tell you this, but they have been shipped. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I definitely felt like they have been building that just a little bit by little bit.
I don't know. I got more of a, not a brother sister relationship, but I don't know. They're more playful and respectful of each other, but I don't know. It could go either way.
We'll see, but I definitely get the vibes. So, but anyway, I just kind of like, I guess if it weren't to go romantic, it's still a relationship, and I just feel like that's nice to me to be getting what I think once we got with Rosemary and Lee, I liked the show better, and so I just like it being more of an ensemble, and I feel like it's getting that right out of the gate, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's very true. It's really concentrating on the cast as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then, we have Robbie, that he is, at first he's really put out by the fact that they are looking for the robber, because people are about to leave the hotel. But then he convinces them, oh, you can't leave because then you'll be out on the open, road with this guy on the loose.
And however misguided his intentions are, because he's trying to make more money, Ronnie does have a point.
Yeah.
He does kind of have a point. You don't want to be on the open road with a bandit loose. And so it's just, but still, you obviously know that he's trying to make more money. And then tearing down the poster, that has to be a federal offense.
Oh yeah. If whatever the I don't know what the rules are in Canada for that kind of thing, but yeah, probably you're right. And so then he becomes kind of fixated on it, and yeah, he's removing the signs and everything, and because people are staying longer at the hotel. And I guess, is Grace not working at the hotel anymore? She wasn't there this whole.
Yeah, she wasn't there this whole time. I'm just wondering if they chose to kind of put that aside just for this episode, because she can't be there every single episode.
Yeah.
Maybe it's her week off.
maybe. And they're trying to kind of give Lillian sort of a week off in a way, or day off, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they're like, go. I was like, did they get coffee back there? They're like, go to Pearl's and get coffee. I was like, is that
oh my gosh, I said the exact same thing when Grace said go get a coffee. Did that saying exist back then? Go get a coffee?
I guess Pearl's is the Brookfield Starbucks.
I mean, I don't know anything about coffee. I still remember the first time I heard that phrase was on a Hallmark movie. I would love to go get a coffee. What? Go get a coffee? What the heck is that? So I don't know anything about coffee. I don't know how long that saying has been around, but I seriously questioned if going and getting a coffee was a phrase in 1960.
I don't think that people went to, I don't know. I think that people like went to restaurants for meals and stuff, but I don't think that they went for like just drinks and stuff like we do now. I don't think that was a thing, but who knows? I have no idea.
Well, Pearl's is a desserts shop and it sells coffee as well. So you got me. I had always assumed that back then everybody just bought coffee at the Mercantile, and
like maybe in the city,
they brewed it at home. So
yeah, I mean, it's probably maybe even unrealistic to have a dessert shop, in a small town like that. but if you're in New York or something, then that would make probably more sense. But who knows? It's fine. It was just kind of funny.
It was funny.
So
we haven't seen inside Pearl's shop yet, so that would be a fun set to explore.
Yeah, that would be fun.
To see. They need a scene. They need a scene inside Pearl's shop so we can see exactly what kind of Starbucks she's got there.
It kind of reminds me of, I can't remember if it was last season or the season before, where all of a sudden there was a ice cream shop in Hope Valley that we had like never seen and never heard about since, just so Opal could work there for the
right.
Or maybe it wasn't Opal. It was one of them was working in the
with the career day.
Yeah. I was like, I remember talking with Ruth. I was like, where did this mysterious ice cream shop happen?
Well, the town is growing. It needs an ice cream parlor.
Evidently. So we were laughing about that. And so anyway, so they're very excited, and Grace is teaching the kids how to basically like preserve flowers. They go out and get the wildflowers, and then she preserves them in, it's like wax, right?
Wax. Yeah. Wax. That whole process seemed so interesting. That is cool.
Yeah, I've never done that. With wax, I have done where you preserve it in like basically like salt kind of. I've done that before, and it's like a powder. I can't remember what exactly it is, but we did that growing up. I've preserved flowers before, but and like flatten them as well. I've done that before.
In books.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And so that's fun.
would you put them in between wax paper in
Yeah.
books? So
Yeah.
there you go.
That's what you do. And so that was fun with the kids. And so Tess is doing like some interviews with people to be the foreman, but she's, like you said, not really giving them a fair chance.
Well, that guy was a dork too. When I'm your foreman, like, okay, that's a little presumptuous.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't maybe the best interview ever. But she is finding fault with everybody. You're supposed to get that kind of idea.
Yeah, she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he also, which may be something she might listen to, it was because he says, oh, that you're overgrazing your land. And so that was interesting, I thought.
Yeah,
because she's gonna want to have somebody who's willing to be honest and tell her that she's doing things wrong. Like that's what you want for someone who's working for you. Not that they're like belligerent, but you want somebody who, you don't want just yes men working for you. So
I don't know. I think she wants a little bit of that.
Because I mean, if you're a good business person, you want people who will be honest with you.
Right.
You know.
They just have to be careful about how honest they are with her, especially with first impressions.
Yeah, so it was not the best first interview, but that was interesting. And so then Gabe and Nathan, they go after Sam and they find him, and they hold him up with their guns, and he's like, I'm innocent. And
I loved how totally bewildered he looked. Like, what's this about? Why are you pointing a gun at me?
Yeah. And then you have them, he's talking to him, and they figure out that no, he couldn't have been, it's not him, that they're wrong.
Unwrapping his hand.
Yeah, with unwrapping his hand. And so then they start after the there's from a couple episodes ago with the bank robber who said, oh, I didn't take it all. That there was that kind of whole thing. And so they start on the search for this other guy. And that whole scene where they find this other guy, and there's like an explosion.
That was intense.
It was a little bit weird, though. I was like, where did that come from?
Oh, you didn't see it?
Well, I mean, I saw the explosion, but I'm like,
oh, what? No, there's a shot. There's a shot where a stick of dynamite lands right by Nathan. It's really quick, but you see a stick of dynamite land in the grass right next to him, and then he looks over at it and boom.
Oh, okay.
So the guy threw it. The guy was hiding and he threw it.
Okay, because I was like, what? How did that? It was weird. But anyway, and yeah, and so like Nathan is like full thrown across thrown down, and so then it's just for a little while it's Gabe and this guy, and he's got a gun and he's shooting and stuff. It was pretty good.
It was intense. And see, I have to admit, when Gabe went after Daniel, I was a little disappointed in the action series of Gabe actually getting Daniel. This scene was fantastic. The choreography was great. The intensity was perfect. They did a really, really good job with that whole sequence. I could not help but think it was so sad, because the first thing that came to my mind when Nathan got blown up, oh, this would be really awkward if he died in another show, you know?
Yeah, I know, right?
I died in an alternate universe.
Yeah. That would be funny. I know, I kind of thought that too, that it's like that would be a blow to Elizabeth.
Yeah.
His niece, I forget her name. But
oh my gosh. you said it, and I just went like Allie. There we go.
Okay.
Because Allie is my niece's name too. So
Oh, really? That's
yeah.
cute. And so, yeah, there was all of that. And then and you have back home, you have Chuck kind of keeping watch on the house.
I was wondering when you were gonna get to that.
Kind of watching out for the girls. And yeah, so it's interesting because he's already so invested, I think, in Grace. Like I said, I feel like it's moving pretty quickly for When Calls the Heart.
Well, and Grace seems to have gotten over Sam pretty fast because she had no inclination. She just, when Lillian was going on and on about Sam, Grace is just saying, you did what you needed to do. So obviously Grace isn't feeling that bad about Sam being gone.
No. Yeah, that's true.
I thought that was an interesting little, I don't know if they did that on purpose or if that was just the way the scene happened to come out, or the scenes, I should say. But yeah. Grace isn't holding a candle for Sam at all.
No, not at all. And then we get a whole scene with Chuck telling all these stories of Lillian.
Oh my gosh. I love the stories. I love the stories.
Yeah, that was really fun. And it is really fun whenever you're with your parents or aunts or uncles or people like that in your life, and they start telling stories from their childhood. And like at Thanksgiving or something, I feel
especially
like
the naughty ones.
Yeah, the funny ones. I can think of some different ones that my dad has told me over the years, or my mom, but especially my dad with his with his siblings, some of the crazy stories, because my dad had a pretty long leash as far as things that he would do. Like when he was, I think, 13 or 14, he and his best friend hitchhiked all the way up to Yosemite National Park from where they were living, and I think it was climbed Half Dome, or anyway, like a whole thing there, and then hitchhiked back home, and thing like, and it was like, that's a different time. It was a different time, but he has a lot of funny
word.
Yeah, he has a lot of crazy stories like that that are fun to. That's always a fun as a kid, get to like hear the sort of the stories of your parents. I think it's fun.
Well, and I never create hashtags, but I could not resist with this one. I'm not clever enough, I don't think, with hashtags. But I got one. Hashtag Miss Lillian misbehaved. That was so, oh man, that was a fabulous line right there. Miss Lillian misbehaved. It's a shocker.
Yeah, it really was. It was cute though, very fun. And I do sometimes wish they would involve the children a little bit more, like, because that's one of my favorite things about When Calls the Heart is anything with the kids. I think the kids are so great in When Calls the Heart. And but I think with this one having two lead female protagonists, and maybe it's just a little bit harder, so it ends up being more adult focused than the kid focused. But they're really, really cute. So
well, I thought that for the most part it was pretty good, because you had them all around the table, and you had the older ones out searching for flowers. So I mean, they weren't absent.
Yeah, they weren't absent, I guess. But it'd be nice if they got some more B plots for the kids, like they do in When Calls the Heart. But it's not a big deal. But anyway.
Did you notice that there was still a little something going on between Helen and Kate? Helen and Sophia. Kate's her real name. But Helen and Sophia.
I missed that.
Helen said, I got a rose, because they're supposed to choose a flower that's most like them. Uh-huh. And so Helen said, I picked a rose. And Chuck says, oh, that's a nice choice. And Sophia says, they have thorns. Like, oh my goodness, are we still arguing, girls?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's siblings for you.
I know, but just after that whole thing with the locket and everything last week, I was just like, oh my word, seriously? Are
That's
we still
funny.
having a little residual argument?
Yeah, yeah. And so then they catch the guy, and Sam comes back, and they all feel bad, but he's very upset, and he packs up his stuff, and he leaves. So yeah, we'll see if we see him again. And
It was really interesting because this is another part where my husband piped up, and he doesn't pipe up very often because he doesn't like to watch these kinds of shows with me.
uh-huh.
It's not his cup of tea. But he's watching that part where Sam is saying, "I'm just surprised that you thought I was that kind of man," and he said, "She doesn't know you."
Mhm.
You know a man for 3 days, and a lot of puzzle pieces fit together that you could be a convict. She's basically a mother to 6 children, and you were staying 3 yards away from them. Give the woman a little credit. It's
Yeah. I mean, I think his reaction is understandable, because you would feel, I mean, it's natural to sort of feel defensive
oh,
when something like
of
that.
course, but
But
I was just
but
surprised that he would take it out on her.
yeah, but then yeah, it's I mean, I can understand why he would do what he did and why he would say what he did, but it'll be interesting if we get to see him again.
I
Uh
think they left it open.
yeah. Well, and especially because you get that ending of uh the fact that he taught Freddie to whistle, taught the little
Uh-huh.
boy to whistle.
And
So
he wants to show him that he can
mhm.
whistle now.
So that I could see that being sort of the hook, that kind of we get another episode, but we'll see. And so then we get Tess interviewing this woman named Lucy, and she basically says, "Hey, I can be the foreman of your property." And yeah, what do you think of that?
You remember her, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the neighbor's daughter that it looks very much like Tess was trying to set Chuck up with her and
hmm
make Grace disappear from the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I I don't know. I think it's a good idea, and I liked her reasoning. My brother's taking over, and I don't want to take orders from him. I mean,
hmm
that's pretty common. You don't want to take orders from your sibling. You'd much rather take orders from someone you respect and someone that you think will be a lot more fair and won't hold it over your head. I just I don't know. I don't I don't know that it would happen, and I know that they're not trying to go for historically accurate or anything like that. It's just I don't know. Sometimes I think that the whole feminism idea gets pushed a little too hard, and it's really 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 prevalent everywhere, and so when I see an example of it, I just kind of blow it off.
hmm
So I don't know. I think it could go either way. It could really work or it could go really south.
Yeah, I mean, you already have a character that's a little bit feminist forward, which is fine for me with Tess. So it kind of makes sense to me that she would be intrigued by this idea. And
Yeah.
there were cowgirls
Oh yeah. Oh
who
yeah.
were, so it's not like I doubt that many would be a foreman, uh but I mean, it's within the realm of possibility for me, for especially like you said, this show's pretty fast and loose with the, the historical
Historical
accuracy.
aspects.
And I think it could be interesting to see that relationship with Tess and Lucy, and see that play out. And obviously then, yeah, you have like, is she gonna, I would think the more that Lucy worked for her, the more she's going to want to try to get Chuck interested in in her.
Very true.
And so there's kind of a lot of dynamics going on here. It's probably somewhat unrealistic that like all of the physical tasks could be done by her, just realistically.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know if she's the only employee that Tess will
She's
have.
not.
And so,
She's not the only employee. She
yeah,
would be the foreman.
yeah. And
So
so that will probably help her to be able to do everything.
yeah, I'm wondering, I don't know. I'm just wondering if it will work because we've already got 3. This is a very heavy female show. We've got 3 female leads instead of just 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got a lot of female supporting characters. You got Maggie, you got Pearl, and Pearl's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily the strong the strong I can do everything myself type. She's one of the sweet ladies in town, but still
Mm-hmm.
you've got a lot of very strong female roles, and so
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that I would say that it's maybe more male characters than on When Calls the Heart until this last season, because
really.
yeah, because almost all of the men died in the accident. So yeah, I mean, When Calls the Heart, you
Well,
had
yes, that is true.
mind it. I actually didn't mind it. I get what you're saying. Somebody's gonna be a little heavy-handed with the strong empowered female characters, but I just feel like she's a good match for Tess.
And see,
And
that is one thing. That is one thing, is that it would be a good match because you got 2 women
mhm,
who are trying to make their way in a man's world back then.
yeah,
And so it would definitely be a good match. And like Lucy said to Tess, you've known me since I was 12 years old. You know that there wouldn't be any problems with trusting me. I
mhm.
said, well, that is definitely true.
Yeah, and if she has help to do some of the more intense physical tasks, then I think it'll be good. I'm excited about it. I think it's just a question of Tess letting go of the dream of Chuck doing it, and if she can do that, then I think it could be a pretty fun little dynamic between the two of them. But
I wonder if that's going to become part of a storyline
yeah,
later.
I would
Would
think
that
so.
would Lucy not being able to do all the physical tasks, would that
Yeah.
play into part of the storyline later? That would be an interesting little angle.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. So we'll see. So that was kind of that plot, and Robbie tells her that she should hire Lucy and stop being so stubborn, and that Chuck wants to be a veterinarian. And I feel like do you think that Chuck should have like an office of some kind downtown? You know what I mean? Like it's like if he's a veterinarian, he should. I mean, don't you need like supplies and stuff. If you're a veterinarian, you need like there's medicine and all different kinds of stuff that you need to be like an active veterinarian.
I'm ashamed to say I never even thought of it. I just kind of, because he's always making house calls. He always goes to the animals. So I
Yeah.
never even thought about that.
Well,
Maybe he does have an office and we just haven't
yeah,
seen it yet.
because yeah, there's all different kinds. If you want to, I love the All Creatures Great and Small books by James Herriot. So charming, and I think it's a little bit later, just a little bit, but it's right around this time, set in England, and about him being a country veterinarian. That and they're the most charming books you've ever seen. And he has his little apothecary, his little where he gets all his medicines and his different things, and so maybe that's part of the reason why I thought of it, because I love those books.
Right.
And they're pretty close, I think, time period. I'll have to check that. But anyway, so it's like if he wants to do this for his career, he needs to like have have a store. He needs to have a storefront. He needs to have not a storefront, but he needs to have an office
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does somewhere.
Anyway, and so yeah, but that's what Robbie tells her, and so we that's kind of how we close out the episodes. And we also see that they just got, it was fool's gold that they got underneath the thing, and
24 hours of digging.
Yeah. And then Grace tells Lillian Lillian tells Grace, the kids sure like having Chuck around, and so do you. So that was cute.
Yeah, let's not forget that final scene where Chuck says goodbye to Grace. Yeah. And he's saying that this is the kind of home I want someday. And then he gives her a daffodil after saying that she's like a daffodil. That was just...
Yeah, it was cute.
In the tweet fest, I tweeted, "Pardon me while I try to mop myself up."
Yeah.
I thought it was so cute because when the kids are all gathered around the table and saying what kind of flower they got, he still is saying to her, obviously this is the kids' project, but he said, "Grace, what did you pick?" And she said, yeah. "I don't know, I didn't pick one." And so the kids all say what they think, and for a man to have flower knowledge, that's very, very impressive. He says I think a daffodil because they're bright and hopeful, and I read that they're a sign of creativity. I went, okay, Chuck, you won me over. And then he leaves a daffodil for her. I just thought that was the sweetest thing.
So next week, the episode is called Surprise. So that's going to be fun. And
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's Lillian tries to make Grace's birthday perfect. Gabe tracks down the key witness in the robbery investigation. So that will be fun. We're looking forward to that. And so thanks so much for talking about this with me. I had a great time.
Me too.
And if you're listening, let us know what you thought of the episode. Did you like the different plot points? Did you enjoy seeing Nathan back in Brookfield? Let us know your thoughts and in the comment section or on Twitter. And Cami, how can people follow you?
Twitter and Instagram, I'm Cami Drama Girl, and that's Cami spelled Kami. On Facebook, I have my Hooked Hardy page, and that's Hardy with an IE. And then on my blog, I'm hookedhardy.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And like I said, check out my review for Abominable. I'll put a link in the description, and all my other content I have a lot of fun doing that. So check that out, and make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, all over social media and on iTunes and YouTube. We love you getting your ratings and reviews on iTunes. Thank you so much. And if you're listening on YouTube, if you can give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, we really, really appreciate that as well. And we have our patron group. I just did our first live Q&A that's exclusive to the patrons. And so we try to give as much exclusive content. We also have our interview with Jesse Schramm that, because Country at Heart got canceled, we may not even be able to release that publicly, but for our patrons, you get to listen to it. So a lot of benefits for becoming a patron. I'll have all the information in the description below, and please check that out. We have our merch store, which includes When Hope Calls inspired merch that I'll have a link in the description as well for that. So lots of great stuff going on. Look forward to next week. And we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much, Cami.
All right. Bye, everybody. Bye, Hallmarkies.
This podcast was brought to you by Hallmarkies for Hallmarkies. For more information about how you can leave your mark on Hallmarkies, visit hallmarkiespodcast.com. Link in the description.